One. Turning pain into purpose and purpose into peace. At some point, every one of us experiences disappointment, loss, rejection, failure, grief, or unexpected changes. These moments can leave us asking difficult questions. Why did this happen? How do I move forward? And would life ever feel the same again? We have two people who, in my book, are the guides of guides when it comes to managing grief, managing second chances, and healing with peace. We have Sallie Wagner, of course, your personal alchemist, and we have Youssef Skalli, Scalability Coaching, your walking coach. Welcome.
Thank
Let's
you.
talk about what happens when life changes everything. When something happens that changes everything. Sallie, get us started.
Uh, well, I think we all have those moments of when life just rips a giant hole in the fabric of our reality, and we just kind of have to take a moment and assess. And there's a phenomenon called post traumatic growth.
Oh,
Um, it's written about in the book Super Better by Jane McGonigal, and it's just we've all experienced it most likely in our own lives when we face some event, the traumatic event, the rip in our fabric of our reality, and rather than become the victim and just kind of stay there in that trauma, we seize the opportunity to move into greater growth, and we
right.
find purpose in that. And we're able to move on through that valley of the trauma. So that's what I think about with what you just said.
Yeah, and when we're in the middle of the storm, the last thing we're thinking is there's growth in here.
Right. Yeah.
We simply feel the carpet being pulled under our feet, and it's such a personal experience, right? It can be, we cannot look at somebody else that's experiencing loss and pain and trauma and measure it against our own measuring yard, right? Like,
Right.
I remember having people who, after childbirth, were traumatized that, they were now not a certain size and they were already very slim before and after their childbirth, but they were traumatized by it, right? And somebody else was saying, like, are you kidding? Like, are you serious? Right? Like, you're a size 6 now. It's like, get over yourself. And it's like, no, for her it was real. Like, it was her identity. It was loss. And maybe it's not loss as in death or something major, but there's a domino effect to that loss,
Yeah.
right?
It's the loss of our identity, the loss of the person we thought we were, and we're not that person any longer.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And Yusuf, your personal thoughts on pain to purpose to peace.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate that Sally mentioned the post-traumatic growth because there has been in the past, I would say 15 years, a kind of normalizing the talk about trauma in general and the language of trauma, but with a focus on PTSD rather than the post-traumatic growth. So I'm glad that we are thinking that. Now, one thing that I have observed in my life and now in my coaching, that our brain are uh, an expert in rationalizing things and
Hmm.
trying to really give a reason to everything. And I see that with men even more predominantly because we are quick to try to find a reason and a fix or a solution to any painful experience rather
Ooh.
than pausing, as Sally was mentioning. So we immediately start asking why this happened to me rather than just asking first what it is that is happening,
Yeah.
what is being challenged, what is being unchallenged, what is remaining, what is lost, and what I choose to carry forward. So
Yeah.
that's my experience with pain, even from my personal experience.
And the thing about pain is not only personal, but it is real. There's a physicality to it. Did you know? I did not know this, and I can't remember who brought it up to me, but that you can actually take any kind of acetaminophen, whether it's, whatever, I don't want to say a brand, but any kind of pain medication for emotional pain, and you will actually feel better.
Mm.
Like it actually converts onto your biology, the emotional pain that you may be feeling, or the mental pain that you may be feeling. It actually has a physical effect on your body. So when you're feeling pain, you're literally experiencing pain in your body. So it's real. Is
Yes.
anybody that hurts is hurting, and really deserves our validation or our honoring, what they're going through. Now, interesting point you made, Yusuf, that men, by divine wiring, are fixed creatures, right? There's many women that are too. Like, it's not a men woman thing, but generally, a lot of men are into the fixing, right? Let's fix it. It's broken, fix it. And there's not a lot of maybe pause for the emotional part of it.
Yeah, because there is a general belief that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So the idea is that first, as a man and working with men, I see that we have been somehow conditioned to respond to pain by trying to solve it.
Get over it.
Try to tell the any male friend you have, just do this social experiment and say that I am struggling, I am hurting. And immediately the response, in my case, that I get is that be strong, stay strong.
Yeah.
You need to move on.
Give it time.
Give it a time, like this myth that time heals things, not what we do during this time, but that time will
Mm.
heal by itself. Or immediately someone will jump to look at the positive side, or everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
This
tell me what reason that is. That makes
while
sense.
these
When we
statements,
witness
exactly, while these
tragedy.
statements are all well intended, most of
Mhm.
the time comes from a good heart, good intention, but
Oh, yeah, of course.
they often communicate a clear message to the person receiving it. Is that I'm telling you, your pain is making me uncomfortable, and
Oh,
I would like you to
oh,
stop, and I would like you to stop expressing it.
Yusuf, that just absolutely blew my mind. Like,
Mhm.
although well intended, which, whatever, right? Well intended. What is it really saying?
Yeah,
When,
what I see is that to me, it many cases it transmits the message, Carolina, your pain is making me uncomfortable. So I'm making it about me rather than about your pain because I am uncomfortable with my own pain. So I would like you to stop expressing your own pain and what you are going on it. So while we cannot always remove someone's pain, and that's not the goal,
Mhm.
but what we can reduce is really the loneliness around it and increase the awareness about it. And I think that's where the work that Sally does makes full sense at the center of that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sally, any thoughts on what Yusuf just like absolutely blew my mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an excellent point. We need to be present with our own pain, our own shadow, be comfortable with that before we can truly be present with another person in their sadness and their pain.
Mhm.
And just a real world example of that from yesterday. My husband was we wanted to lie down and take a rest, and I was asking him, "Are you okay?" And he said, "I just feel sad." And 3 years ago, before he had a brain aneurysm, he probably never would have said that, and yet he did. And I said, "That's okay. Everybody feels sad, and
Mhm.
you feel sad. Let me know. Do you want me to sit with you and be sad with you, or do you want to be alone
Mhm.
and feel your feelings, basically?"
Yeah.
And he said he wanted to be alone, and I said, "Okay, well, just call me. I'm happy to
Mhm.
come into here. We can do whatever you want to do." Um, but I think that's it. Just to not shy away from it, not say, "Oh, don't be sad. Get over it, let it go,
Yeah.
whatever." But just, yeah, everybody needs to feel that. So feel it.
Especially
Yeah,
especially for men. I have a
yeah.
friend
Yes.
who I do have friends, people, believe it or not. I have a friend who has PTSD. He's actually pretty he's taken pain into purpose. So he's an advocate for veterans. And he sent me a clip, and I wish if I find it, I'll put it in the comments, that regarding men's vulnerability. A lot of women, or a lot of people, I'm going to say,
Mhm.
think that men are not open to being vulnerable.
Mhm.
And what this clip said is that men do. So they take a big risk in being vulnerable, but then they get shut down when they are vulnerable, so they won't open up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So exactly what your husband said, I am sad. Well, your response matters for him to feel safe to be vulnerable in the future,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
That is so powerful, Sally. Yes, Yusuf.
yeah, mom. Just to say, this is really powerful, and there is a beautiful image in Sufi teaching that aligns also with the shadow work, I think, Sally, which is looking at the heart as a mirror.
Mm,
And
okay.
life, especially painful experience, can really shatter this mirror with a lot of dust. And when those painful experiences happen, so it's not only creating the dust, but it's inviting us to remove sometimes this dust to see clearly. And I'm sure Sally would like to add something to that because it aligns with your shadow work.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a good point. It is an invitation, to explore deeper. Where's the sadness coming from? Or whatever the case may be,
Would you like to talk about it?
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
exactly.
is
Yeah.
that instead of doing the prescriptive, oh, time will heal it, or
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
is
And Yusuf,
answer the invitation.
yeah, you alluded to this earlier, I believe. Time doesn't heal. It's
And
what we do during that time that
exactly,
heals. We
exactly.
have to be purposeful and intentional about the healing, which is where, the purpose from the pain, and then from the purpose to the peace. When we're intentional about that whole process, that's what happens.
And so, in speaking to transferring from pain to purpose, that first gap, right? When I was doing my mindfulness program at U of T, so I have what now I know is like a Pollyanna mindset, right? Where I am so quick, and it's not even conscious. Like I am so quick to, oh, the sun will shine tomorrow. Like just move on, right? Like
Yeah.
just move on. And to the point that sometimes I'll even throw myself a pity party. Like I'll actually cater a pity party. Like, like make an event of it, right? In process that I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be fine. But what I learned from them is that because I'm in such a rush, not intentionally, but behaviorally, I'm in such a rush to feel better. I don't stay in the muck, right? And there's so much learning and growth in that discomfort, in that pain, right? And that if we rush to, okay, I happen to rush to feel better, but if you rush into purpose, say you pick up advocacy, or you begin to write your book that leads to speaking engagements, and that you take a podcast, and all of a sudden you want to make sure that nobody goes through this again, which is honorable and commendable. But in the process of repeating the trauma verbally, articulating the trauma verbally, if you have not healed properly, you're repeating the trauma to your nervous system.
Yes,
Is that not
Absolutely.
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll take it even further because what you mentioned is even what the cases or examples you gave in terms of purpose. If we look at them, I see them that are externally directed, while purpose can be personal, can be first inward before even trying to help others to do not go through the same pain. Our minds are the most powerful storytellers, and we keep telling stories to ourselves. So the idea is that when we face a painful experience, the risk is that we let that experience become the whole story rather than just a draft or a chapter that I can still edit in my life manuscript
Yeah.
and move to it. And taking that time to understand that story before jumping and rushing into purpose, as you say, is very important. Because when we talk about trying to give meaning to pain or trying to find purpose immediately, what we are telling our brain that you have your next destination that you have to move to immediately. While purpose, finding the purpose is a process, is a journey. And
And it
it's not,
tells you you're not okay.
yeah,
Yes.
Like
yeah,
if you're instantly saying like, I need to get past this, I need to get past this, is because you're not okay. Of course you're not okay because you're in pain, but there's something wrong
Right.
with you, which is
Yeah.
different than I am feeling
yeah,
pain.
exactly. This is why I use the image of story and manuscript because to me, the first story we tell ourselves after any experience, and even more after a painful one, is really the final story. So pain may write a draft, but our awareness first will allow us to edit that draft and write the next chapter.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Is
I
that
I think society rushes us. We rush ourselves to
yeah,
move through it, to move through the process, especially with grief and other types of pain. And
Yeah,
I've a personal experience with people asking, "Oh, you're still grieving?" Well, yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know it was like an expiration
I
date
didn't
or
know my
something.
time was up.
Yeah, and I think in previous generations, perhaps in other cultures, we were more cognizant of grief as a recognizable period in life,
Yeah.
instead
right.
of just, oh, it's been 2 weeks, get
It's
over
a
it, right?
novena. You got,
Yeah, yeah,
is your
and
time is up, move
yeah,
on, right?
it's like they would wear the
The
armband
armbands
to
or the
signify
veils
we're mourning, or the women would wear black and they wouldn't wear jewelry,
or
and
the
it was like,
veil, yeah,
yeah,
or
and
covering mirrors, like,
yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah, so there was a societal recognition of this formal period where it was okay to
yeah,
grieve, and we don't have that now. And so I think that rushes us, and if we're not on that rushed timeline that we get programmed to accept, then, like you were saying, we think there's something wrong with us, and
yeah.
no, it's not. We're the ones who are doing it right. We're working through that
And it's
process to,
cyclical. You
yeah,
maybe take two steps forward and three back.
yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
yes, I was okay the last few, weeks or months, and all of a sudden something
Mhm.
occurred, whether it's a
Yeah,
holiday or you saw
yes,
something that reminded you, and that wound opened up again. And that's
exactly.
okay.
And
Yeah.
And
also
that's
the
okay.
relationship with pain and with loss is very personal.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There is a cultural element as well. The expression of pain and the relationship to pain. There are many cultures and belief elements that influence that. And as Sally was saying, it's that we tend like to look at it as scripts to follow, and we compare our pains and the pains of others, and
Correct.
we try to say, like how often I would say, Sally would say something, and I would say, I totally understand. I feel with you. No, I can't understand. I
Yeah.
can't feel exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Another way is to say, I don't know exactly what you are going through. I know how it feels to feel hurt or to feel that pain, but recognize first that I don't know exactly what you are going through. And
Yeah.
that in itself an invitation
Yeah.
to start the journey towards helping the person to find the meaning, to find the purpose. Because
Love that.
finding meaning in an experience is different to finding a reason for it.
Yes.
In trying to find a reason, it's like asking people, on exit entry, like, why did you make there's times where the question is like, really, do you really expect me to tell you what, when
Yes.
sometimes people don't even know the reason, right? But Sally, I just had a huge aha in what you said, um, because in watching successful, it's usually men that talk this way, and it's not a bad thing.
It's
In
okay.
in watching podcasts, right? The gentlemen who are extremely successful, especially the self-made, right? All of the pain and the struggle made them who they are,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
And often the first reaction is, I don't want my children to go through that. But
Mhm.
it is the pain and suffering that gave them the character for success, right?
Yeah.
So even when you're trying to take pain to purpose and you're saying, I don't want this to ever happen to someone else. Well, if you take the post-traumatic growth, if
Mhm.
you're trying to, if you go with the mindset that you're trying to stop people from experiencing these, you're also trying to stop them from having that growth.
Absolutely. I
It's like,
when you
especially
were
when it comes to
yeah,
kids. Yeah.
yeah. So a couple of things, and first thing, when you were doing the intro, and again now, I'm reminded of an old fable, and then it also appeared as a story in Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, an old novel. And the story is the Buddha sees life represented by a cup of liquid, and he tastes it, and it's vinegar, and he says, "Oh, I need to abstain because I don't want to taste the vinegar of life." And then the Christ comes and tastes it, and he says, "Oh, it's sour. I need to drink the whole thing to so that other people don't have to taste the sourness of life." And then the two lovers come and they dip their fingers in and they taste each other's fingers and they say, "Ah, sweet." And so I think, rather than take the burden on ourselves and so that we save other people from the experience, I think we need to lovingly guide them through the experience because there's such a growth opportunity for them.
Guiding through the
And
yes,
my husband and I say this all the time. We just because it's not a pleasant situation he's in right now, and yet we're together, and we always say, "Ah, sweet," because we're together and we love each other, right? And then the other thing I was thinking also, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., his mother passed about a year ago, and she experienced such pain and loss in her life. Her husband, and she lost children and grandchildren, and he said, at some point he asked her, "Mom, how do you survive all this?" And she said, "Every loss leaves a hole in your heart, and yet my life has grown around that hole."
Yeah,
Mm.
And
exactly.
so that's how she found purpose and peace, that her life
Yeah,
grew around the hole and the loss in her life. And she
You
was
yeah,
able
know,
to,
yeah. And I would add to that that also avoiding to label things. Again, as I said
mm,
earlier, we try to label trauma, we try to label grief, but we label it using our own, like trying to diagnose, even though we are not qualified for it as a human being. I'm not talking about professionally trained uh, individuals, but also sometimes pain, it doesn't reveal what is broken.
yeah.
Sometimes it reveals what needs our attention right now. And that's really important. So to me, pain can be a very powerful messenger.
mhm. You know, when you're an artist, right? Paint's a gift.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like, it's just like many how great works of art and literature and everything have been brought about pain, right? As
right.
pain can be a gift. I'm not gonna say
And
that pain is a gift because some kind of pain, right, can be
yeah.
that is another way of finding purpose and processing it, right?
And
That's the
Sorry,
point.
go ahead.
think about the art of kintsugi. The vessel is broken, and the craftsman repairs it with powdered gold,
Gold,
and
yeah,
I mean, and so it becomes part of the vessel itself. It's not a
Yeah,
flaw; it's a feature,
now it has a
and it's
story.
even more beautiful than it was
Yeah.
before. And that's
yeah,
what we can do with ourselves. We don't pretend it didn't happen. We incorporate it and we decorate it, and it becomes even more beautiful and more who we are in life.
That's right.
yeah,
That's right. That's right. And you know what? The process of write the book, tell the story, yes, and that can be part of healing. Like I
Mhm.
find
yes,
writing is extremely cathartic. Like it
absolutely.
just in the Stoics, of course, right? Which I am a great fan. Just in being able to journalize and try to discern what is emotion and what is fact,
Yeah,
right? And for
Mhm.
me, this is my process, right? What is fact? What is emotion? And don't feel rushed to to share, or where someone's asking you, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "No, I'm not okay." Okay, to honor yourself, right? And if somebody will tell me about it, it's like, no, I don't need to tell you about it. Like, respect your own dignity and boundaries in your own process. If you need to talk about it, make sure, in my opinion, you know, speak to qualified people, right? Because when you're vulnerable, is although as Yusuf was saying, people mean well. I the
yes,
percentage of nastiness, although has great impact, it's relatively small worldwide as a percentage of the population. The people that are out there doing bad things or meaning, having nefarious intent is relatively small. Most people are good. Most people mean
yes,
well, even if sometimes they do the wrong thing, right? They do them meaning well. That doesn't take away their responsibility to say, well, I mean well by telling you the truth. Therefore, I'm going to, do a dump on you, right? Like, that's not what we're talking about, right? But especially parents, partners, children, like when you have the elder, when you're dealing around vulnerability, right? You do have the responsibility to find educate yourself, right? Like, what is the better way? Because times have changed. We now know more, right?
yeah,
So, a famous quote from Sally is that, do better, right? Do what you can now, but do
exactly.
better, in the future. So, the ultimate goal is to find peace, to reconcile with what occurred, and do move on. You know what I mean? Like, take the lesson of the luggage, right? So eventually the goal is to move on with your life, having been better, or being a better person, or being a more educated person, or being, at a greater personal state with a transformation in place.
I would like just to clarify for our listeners and viewers, when we say move on, it doesn't mean ignoring the pain.
No, no, no.
What we mean is that
It's
carry
okay.
what matters to you with you to your next chapter.
It's
But
okay to start a new
yeah,
chapter.
exactly. To me, the pain is again a story. Don't let it become the title.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
What a great conversation. Oh my goodness. Turning pain to purpose and ultimately to peace. Thank you guys. We'll put all your contact information. You have great resources. And wow. I always walk away from our talks and then I have to watch it again because I get to watch it for the first time, right? And I'm always humbled by the ahas and the even if you agree disagree with us, that's still an aha because
Of
it
course.
clarified your point of view. So thank you everybody and until next time. Thank you,
Thank
Sallie.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.